And so the reason I've been so successful as a coach is I not only tell people what's going on, but I tell them why. Once you understand the why, your brain is able to contextualize it. Put it in the context. Oh, I get why I'm thinking that might be easier because of now my brain, what my brain is doing to it, how my brain is trying to process this thing.
Man, listen, trying to process those type of emotions.
Yeah, it's tough.
Definitely the hardest thing I've experienced so far in life. Hey y'all, welcome back to I Wish I Could Make This Up podcast. As y'all know, I'm Doneshia, and I'm super excited today because I have a very special guest who is my first guest, so it's even more exciting. I have Coach Canion. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm your first guest?
You're the very first guest.
Well, you know what? I feel, I don't know, I'm just overwhelmed with joy. Thank you.
Yes, of course. So I'm going to do a brief intro. Coach Ken is a communication and relationship expert. He's the author of 8 books, which 8 is my lucky number, so that's super cool. He is a relationship expert coach on MTV TV show Unfaithful, Caught in the Act. Y'all should tune in if you haven't. And he is also the creator and founder of the Relationship Academy, as well as pocketcommunicationcoach.com.
Okay.
So you kind of accomplished here.
Is that what that is?
I feel like it.
I've just done a lot.
You've done a lot.
I just done a lot.
Okay.
I mean, I feel accomplished when I help more people.
Well, that's love. Yeah. And that's what we aim to do here today. So now we're going to get into an icebreaker. Okay. As we know, the name of the podcast is I Wish I Could Make This Up. So if you could give me a story or even just a moment that happened to you where you're like, I can't make this up. I can't even believe this happened.
Right. So I remember recently, I'm filming the show for MTV. Mm-hmm. So I try to be incognito. Nobody knows me, you know. I mean, I'm just a regular guy. And I'm walking through the Atlanta airport and I hear 3 women say, Coach Ken. And I'm like, I had my headphones on, so I thought I heard somebody and they kept yelling. Now, listen, I can't make this up, but they were all in wheelchairs. Oh. They were in the wheelchair line.
Oh, so they weren't moving nowhere, really?
They weren't moving. And I was like, so I took my headphones off and I'm like, and I look and I'll see these 3 ladies in the wheelchairs. Coach Ken.
Were they a group like together?
They were all together.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, wow, you just never know, who's watching the show or whose lives you've changed. And I was like, I can't make that up. Never would have happened. I never would have thought something like that would have happened to me.
That's a cool story.
Yeah.
I do get to move around freely and nobody says anything to me. So I love that.
Sometimes that's a good thing. But as you keep doing this podcast, I assure you that might change.
And in Atlanta airport, that's even crazier because that's a really busy airport.
Yes.
So I love that. That's fun. Well, I'm trying to think. I'm like, I could give one.
Give me one. Anyone?
I mean, I don't know if mine will be as fun and light.
No. Well, okay, give me the other side of that. You can't make this up because you did this podcast because you named it. I can't make this up for a reason.
I wish I could make this up. Okay. So obviously I got divorced. Okay. And aside from that being what I wish I could make up, the part I wish I could make up is the fact that the first time I experienced infidelity, I chose to give that man a second chance.
Okay. All right. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah. And that's what I wish I could make up because I think I never imagined I'd be that type of person.
You thought you'd be the type of person
like I'm just the first time I'm out.
I'm not
and that was not the case. I said, which is so funny. I was watching one of your podcast episodes before, which non-shameless plug here. He has a podcast. Everybody should tune in. we'll let him shout it out later. But I was watching one of your episodes and you mentioned that the percentage of people who actually stay in a relationship or at least give it a chance after infidelity is like what, in the 70s?
It was right at 60, it's 67, right at 70% of people who, because we think that infidelity is always a death sentence, and not always. And the reason why is because, and we'll be glad to talk about it, but the reason why is because it's always easy to say. You ever said something like this? If this happens to me, I'm going to do this.
And you're usually saying it not having experienced that.
Yes. Because here's what happens. You don't take you don't factor in all of the other stuff that comes with when it happens.
Right.
Where I am emotionally, where I am financially, what I'm thinking, the factors that led to it. You don't factor all of that in making your decision, in saying, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But then now you're forced to factor in, we've got children. Okay, I still love this person. Is there remorse in this? It's so much to factor in that you never had to before. So now I'm saying it when there are no factors.
Right. It's easy to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you think about a marriage, at this point, you started blending your families.
Exactly.
Everybody's cool with everybody.
Yes.
You calling his mama your mama.
Vacation.
You know what I'm saying?
Me and his mama talk almost every night.
You spend the night at her house. It's like, okay, we have brought all these people into this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something, I wish I could make it up. But the good thing is I've been on this healing journey. So, it's something that I probably could have, maybe in the last, maybe 6 months ago even, I don't know that I could have admitted that, let alone in front of a camera. And then smiled through it.
I applaud you.
So yeah, it's been a lot of growth.
That's
a lot of growth and a lot of courage.
Okay.
So since we're talking about healing, I have a question here.
You got your questions.
The questions are ready.
Typed out.
Okay, you have to be, because listen, you have to be prepared. There's a lot that goes on in his brain.
Okay.
So my first question, which is great and very on topic, as a relationship coach.
Okay.
What do you believe is the most overlooked part of the healing process, especially for someone who's recently separated or divorced?
The overlooked part of the healing process, I think, and there are many things that are overlooked in the healing process. But the thing I think the most overlooked part of the process, healing process, is the process. It is a process.
Yeah.
And what happens is we think process should be finite amount of time.
Right.
Well, that's not the way it works. It's just like people who grieve, right? Would it be abnormal if I told you someone close to you died, as a parent, sibling, or something, and I said, all right, you got 6 months to grieve about this. And when it's done, it's done. Yeah, you need to let it go. How realistic would that be? That would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? So why is it that we give ourselves a finite time to go through a healing process, process every emotion that's going through, the things that are going to come, the trauma that happened before that, and say, you should be done. People say things like, get over it. You need to let that go. Those two things I despise.
Yeah.
Those two things I despise. You need to get over it and you need to let that go. Here's why. Because see how ridiculous it is? Because when you go through something, you got to go through the process of grief, just like you lost a loved one in death.
I love that you mentioned that. A few things came to mind as you said that. So I'm going to go back a little bit. And then I'm going to address that. But I remember early in my separation, someone very close to me, they got to see that up close and personal. Like they saw me as soon as I became separated, and I chose to leave our home and just remove myself. And, my therapist even, she's like, give yourself some time to just be. If you don't want to get out the bed, don't get out that bed. I remember the same week I became separated, I lost my job. It was just like a back-to-back crazy moment. But this one person close to me, I think a few weeks had passed. And I remember I was going to take my first trip because I just didn't go anywhere. I went into absolute hiding.
Oh, isolation.
I didn't post on anything. I didn't get on a plane. I didn't hang out. I was like foregoing all family functions. I just was. And I remember I was going on a trip. So it had to be, I became separated in March. And then I think my first trip was maybe May or June.
Okay.
I remember I'm going on the trip and this person close to me was like, here's a little gift, something to take with you just to like get your mind off of things. It was a journal. Like, write things out.
Okay.
Go and enjoy this trip by yourself. When I opened the journal, there was a note in there. And the note started off very encouraging. And then it went into, when you come back from the trip, I hope that you will have let some of this go. And I was thinking, now hold on, because this is going to be an ongoing thing. Like this, like you said, that process, there's no deadline to that. And so I remember thinking, one, I didn't want to start to build up resentment towards this individual because we are very close. But I also realized, like, you don't even understand how this feels right now. And like you said, it did feel like a death, or like I was grieving a death, almost to the, I would hate to say this, but I'm going to say it because we're being vulnerable.
Yeah, you see, this is what I like. Go ahead.
We're being transparent.
Say it.
I felt so down and out at the beginning of that separation that I thought it'd be easier if he just died. Like, I actually could accept that better than what I'm accepting right now.
If I told you that was actually normal,
oh, great.
Would you believe
so I'm not
me?
Crazy, guys.
If I told you that was normal,
I believe it.
The reason why, okay, so let me explain it to you and to your listeners. The reason why death would be far easier is because you could get to acceptance quicker. See, you could get to acceptance quicker when they're gone.
Yeah.
Because you accept that is the natural evolution of life. Death is a part of it at the end of it. I can accept that. All right. Because I accept that this is what happens.
Yeah.
But it's harder to accept that in a marriage that this is what happens. And so my brain is trying to understand. It is trying to what we call connect dots. It is trying to connect the dots of, all right, this isn't supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Death is supposed to happen.
I got you. That makes perfect sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so my mind is spending time trying to figure out, well, if it's not supposed to happen, why did it happen? And you begin asking why. And so you stay in the state longer.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
And so that's.
But I'm glad to know that's normal, because it felt like a intrusive thought that I was letting win, that I'm just like, I don't want the man to be dead, but it just, there wouldn't have to be an explanation as to why I'm not with him. It's just like, this happened. And I don't take that lightly, because I do understand people actually are widows. So that's, but
no, I know you're not wishing him to die.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just explaining what's happening the psychological way. Right, that's all.
And this is why we sit down with relationship coaches, everybody, because...
But most people don't know what I know. Can we keep it a buck? Most people don't know what I know.
Really?
Most people do not. Most relationship coaches don't have a damn clue. They say stuff. They think they do. Now, listen, I mean, since this is your podcast and I know I'm your first guest, since I'm your first guest, I have a little latitude. And the latitude is just understand this. A lot of us are listening to a lot of people. But a lot of people can tell you what they think is happening, but most people can't tell you why.
Okay.
See, I just told you why. I just explained to you why.
Yeah.
Most people say, oh, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. They're telling you why, but they're telling you what? But they're not telling you why.
Yeah.
And so the reason I've been so successful as a coach is I not only tell people what's going on, but I tell them why. Once you understand the why, your brain is able to contextualize it. Put it in the context. Oh, I get why I'm thinking that might be easier because of now my brain, what my brain is doing to it, how my brain is trying to process this thing.
Man, listen, trying to process those type of emotions.
Yeah, it's tough.
Definitely the hardest thing I've experienced so far in life. And I've been fortunate to not lose someone close to me by death, but like, this probably might be the closest thing.
Yeah, of course.
And
well, the stages of grief are the same.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's let's move to the positive side.
Good.
Because I'm like, we getting down to the nitty gritty, which is fine. But my next question for you.
Okay, I'll get your sheet. I
gotta get my sheet.
I love it.
So have you seen any surprising positives that have emerged when people go through hard times, such as this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
would you be doing this podcast?
Okay.
No, I'm just saying.
You're right.
Had you not gone through, would you be doing this podcast?
No.
Would you be helping all of the other women who are watching this?
I mean, maybe, but just off camera. But not by the masses, no.
Right. No. Okay. So here's the thing. The positive of everything. Listen, in our lives, there are going to be some good things happen, some bad things, and some ugly things. The good, bad, and ugly. All right? Now, the thing is, it is what we do with each thing that helps us evolve to the next thing. So, if you use this, the evolution of who you become, the evolution of what you've learned, then you can turn around and use this so-called negative thing that was not positive in your life at the time, but you use it to become positive.
Right.
I remember Len Bias, a little before your time. Len Bias was a great basketball, just as good as Michael Jordan. And some people who look at this, your daddies might know Len Bias and Michael Jordan were the same type of player.
Okay.
Super good. Well, Len Bias got drafted by the Boston Celtics. This is just a history lesson for y'all listening. By the Boston Celtics, number 1.
Okay.
Like Michael Jordan. All right. He did cocaine and died before he ever put on. Right after he signed the contract, he died the first time he ever did cocaine.
He didn't even play a game, did he?
Did not one professional game.
Wow, that's
amazing, right? Not one.
Story.
That's why you don't know about him.
Okay.
Because he never played a. You know Michael Jordan.
Of course.
Of course. Len Bias and Michael Jordan were the same. They were both as good as each other. The difference is you don't know about him because he died, right? Well, his mother, devastated.
Yeah.
What did she do? She used that platform to go around to help other people not do drugs. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm sure I will never know the impact that she made.
Yeah.
But there are some people out there who will know the impact that she made because she made it on their life.
Yeah.
So why do I say positive things happen as a result of us using our adversity to our advantage?
Yeah.
To create advantages in other people's lives. So those are the positive things that I've seen come out of it.
Yeah. I love that. And I think it's definitely healing to even find the silver lining and find something positive out of these type of things.
Sure.
Because I thought the healing journey, I mean, what do people say? Healing's not linear or whatever. Right. I'm like, forget all that. I don't really care about all that. What I do know is like a healing journey is unique to your situation, your own situation. And I feel like, nobody can coach you through something like this. I mean, you can, no pun intended, you can have a coach, but I feel like it's just something, your coach is not at home with you when you see something on TV that reminds you of that person. And now you're like, why am I sad all of a sudden? Right. Like, there's just no rule book to this healing process.
Well, but you're creating the rule book right now. You're creating it. Think about it.
The gems.
Think about it. You're creating the rule book as you go through it. You see, my marriage was we almost went to divorce court. We've been married 23 years, 17 years ago. We almost went through divorce court. Well, I created a rule book on how to communicate to avoid it.
Ooh, communication, boy.
Yeah, so I created the rule book as I was going through it.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is, yes, nobody knows the rule book until somebody goes through it. You create it as we go.
There's a lot of rule books on the internet, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. and that being the problem, a lot of people create the rule book that have never gone through it. It's kind of like people telling you how to have a great relationship, but they ain't never had one. I'm just saying.
It reminds me of our conversation we had earlier today.
Yeah.
A lot of people pushing opinions and thoughts on things that they've not actually experienced.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that's helpful. It seems a little detrimental,
Well, but it gets clicks.
It does get clicks because people are curious. People like to hear.
It gets things. I explain to you what it is, and here's what it is. There's a thing. I'm gonna tell y'all this right here. Y'all listening. There's a thing called confirmation bias, and I don't want you to do this. Confirmation bias is we have a bias toward people who confirm what we want to believe. If you want to believe that all men are cheaters, then there's somebody out there that will tell you that. because you had a cheating experience. All men are not cheaters. All women are not for the streets. All women are not users. But there's somebody out there, a man will tell you, all women are for the streets. And what these people do is they confirm the biases that already exist in you. Instead of looking at people, having an open mind and saying, all right, here's what happened to me. Let's identify why, and let's identify how I can be better next time. How I can be better, what to look for next time.
Yeah.
And understand that all people aren't like that.
If you made it this far, I hope that you do tune in to our next episode. I'll just say you'll be in for a treat. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all the things. I don't want to consider myself an influencer, but that's what y'all be saying. So do all of that and join us for episode 4.